Endurance racing is by far one of the most challenging forms of racing, testing not just the speed and the durability of a car, but also the quality of the vehicle, as well as the mental fortitude and capabilities of the engineers and drivers behind it. To build a vehicle capable of enduring such rigorous driving for 12 or 14 hours on end is no small task. It requires a team of talented engineers, durable materials, and drivers with above average levels of tenacity and perseverance. Today, we'll be diving into the history of one of Toyota's most legendary endurance racing vehicles built for the 1992 endurance racing season, the TS010. Toyota's involvement in endurance racing dates back to 1985, competing at Le Mans FIA Group C, starting with their first endurance car, the 85C. And it wasn't until 1989 that Toyota entered its first full world endurance racing season. The first cars Toyota used in these seasons, known as the 89 CV, had drastically improved since their start 4 years earlier. The CV were capable machines, equipped with the R36V engine, a 3.6-liter twin-turbo V8. But due to new regulations for the FIA in the World Sports Car Championship in 1992, Toyota had to replace their previous set of Group C cars, which used this engine. No longer could teams run turbocharged cars. Instead, they had to run naturally aspirated engines with a maximum displacement of 3.5 liters. There weren't many other restrictions on the design, and the teams could choose anything from 6 to 12 cylinders and go from there. The idea being that the FAA wanted to attract F1 teams to Group C by using the same set of standards found in Formula One at the time. This wouldn't go on to work, leading to Group C's eventual downfall before the 1993 season, but that's a detailed story for another time. But for Toyota, these new regulations meant that a whole new car had to be developed to fit the new engine. Accordingly, a set of new Toyotas were developed called the TS010. This car would go on to be used by Toyota in the World Sports Car Championship, the All Japan Sports Prototype Championship, and the 24 Hours of Le Mans. 10 in the name denoting the new RV10 engine, a 3.5-liter naturally aspirated 10-cylinder motor, which was developed specifically for these vehicles. The RV10 weighed only 300 pounds, or 140 kilograms. It featured an aluminum block and 5 valves per cylinder. The development of this new engine actually served as a testing ground for Toyota's new multi-valve technology, which they would go on to deploy in their production vehicles using the 4-cylinder 4AGE engine, such as the Toyota A86 Corolla and the MR2. In the end, this new V10 engine was capable of revving out to 13,000 RPM and producing between 6 and 700 horsepower depending on the tuning. As I previously mentioned, endurance racing requires a vehicle to not just perform, but to do so reliably. The new V10 met both marks, beyond Toyota's expectations. The final weight of the vehicle was around 750 kilograms, or around 1,650 pounds, primarily thanks to the newly developed carbon fiber monocoque, which replaced the aluminum one used on the CV. In terms of aerodynamics, the TS010 was capable of producing 7,300 pounds or 3,300 kilograms of downforce at 190 miles per hour and approximately 9,000 pounds at its top speed of 346 kilometers per hour or 215 miles per hour. In the end, Toyota had developed a handful of very capable machines, and now it was time to test their new creation. In February of 1992, the Toyota race team of 50 engineers and 5 drivers traveled to Eastern Creek Race Circuit in Australia for 9 days of intensive testing, every day from 8 in the morning until 6 at night. Eastern Creek is a high-speed track layout with a single long straight leading to a high-speed left-hand turn. During the turn, the TS010 had so much grip caused by the massive amounts of downforce that the driver Andy Wallace was able to take the turn flat out, reaching 315 kilometers per hour, not even reaching the limits of the car in the corner. 1 hour into testing, Andy rode a curb in the middle of this exact corner, breaking 2 of his ribs. He said, "I went through the corner and just felt a massive crack, and 2 ribs were broken instantly from driving the car." Eventually, he gave into the pain. In an interview, Andy said, "As I came into the pits, I knew how much trouble we were in because we had doing this for so long. If I had just bailed out of the car, then it puts the whole mess onto someone else. So I came into the pits and they started refueling. I tried to put myself into a different seating position so it wouldn't hurt so much, and then I started my second hour, but I never made it through the second hour. I got out and said, I'm sorry, but I'm done. That's when he let his fellow driver, Hitoshi Ogawa, take over. It turns out the exact same thing would happen to Hitoshi in about the same amount of time at the very same spot. Typically, F1 and endurance racing drivers are accustomed to G-forces, but it's a gradual build. The absolute maximum G-force a human can experience is 9G, and that's only for a few seconds. It's estimated that the G-force experienced by Wallace and Ogawa is in the neighborhood of 5G, but it was actually the rate at which the G-forces shifted that was ultimately the cause of their injuries. Another factor to consider is bone fatigue. The same way a car's chassis and mechanical components can experience metal fatigue after extended use, bones in the human body can experience bone fatigue and eventually break. After over an hour of driving, taking the bumpy left-hand turn at Eastern Creek at 195 miles per hour caused huge shifts in G-forces. Combine that with the huge downforce and bone fatigue, and it resulted for the cracked ribs on both drivers. The interesting thing is that Andy actually kept this injury a secret. 3 weeks after Toyota's testing at Eastern Creek, the next event scheduled for Andy was the 12 Hours of Sebring, and he knew that if he made his injury known, he would be replaced with another driver. To quote Andy, I knew if I had told the team what I had done, they would find a replacement for me, so I didn't tell them. I visited a few doctors, got a few things for the pain, and then went to Florida. Sebring is the bumpiest track on the planet, and we did the 12-hour race with just 2 drivers, and it hurt like hell. Andy raced in an Eagle Mark III alongside Juan Manuel Fangio II, and the team went on to win the race. Following 1992, the TS010 was raced at the 24 Hours of Le Mans, taking 2nd and 8th place, behind the Peugeot 905. Unfortunately for Toyota, the Peugeot team had more experience and ultimately the better car. In the end, the TS010 was a very capable machine, which had some racing success. Its redeeming quality was that even with an entirely new engine, it was beyond both the engineers' and drivers' expectations. After the 9 days of testing and breaking ribs at Eastern Creek, the Japanese engineers were praised for building a car that was quote-unquote stronger than the drivers. The Group C race car was eventually succeeded by the Toyota 020 and afterwards the Toyota 030. Andy Wallace himself said, that Toyota, still to this day, is one of the best race cars I ever drove. It was amazing. It's just unfortunate that Peugeot went and built one that was slightly better. The era of V10 racing resulted in record-setting vehicles which produce incredible noise, and it has gone down in history as one of the best. Toyota definitely did their part to contribute to that legacy. Hey, thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun making it. If you're interested in seeing more content like this, consider checking out the channel and subscribing. Have a nice day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.